your martial arts movie podcast.
I threw that shit before I walked in the room.
Featuring drunken Thai boxer Will.
Too bad you will die.
The also drunken wrestler Mark.
I said I don't want trouble.
And drunken karate master Zero.
You've lost your balls.
And now,
Talk. I know Kung Fu. You know, baby.
Fists of Fail.
Hey Zero, what are you doing for 4th of July weekend?
It
It doesn't matter, because we're not doing America Month this year. it was a bait and switch.
You got me. It's kind of a shame. I kind of liked our failed attempt at the American Western / martial arts films, because we did watch a bunch last year, and they were all misses, unfortunately. Ones we couldn't really talk about. So we pivoted. I thought the pivot was pretty great, which was Jackie Chan's Western releases. And one of them actually was a martial arts Western, which was Shanghai Noon. That was fun to revisit. But for July, what's the new theme, Will?
Hey, so yeah, we've done a lot of Jackie. Or no, not a ton, but we've done plenty of Jackie. We had a whole month dedicated to Sammo. So what on earth could we do? Well, we gotta complete the trilogy or complete the trio. This month is Yuen Biao's birthday, at least according to the internet.
That could be wrong. I found out that John Woo's birthday is incorrectly credited on like Wikipedia and IMDb.
Well, then we're doing the unofficial, not confirmed birthday month for Yuen Biao this month. So we're gonna do a whole bunch of Yuen Biao movies. And unfortunately, I think we covered a lot of the good ones already.
Yeah, we did Righting Wrongs.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wanted to focus on ones where he's the star, because he is. Whenever I think about Yuen Biao, I always think of him as the sidekick to Jackie, really, or completing that trio of him, Jackie, and Sammo. So I wanted to try to find something that at least focused on him front and center a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, that's the whole point of this month. A nice and simple theme. Find movies where it stars, features Yuen Biao in all his glory. Yeah, and we're starting with one that's, I guess, well, this is late 70s, right? We're piggybacking off of the success of The Drunken Master and, Shadow and the Eagles. Wow.
Snake and Eagle Shadow?
Snake and Eagle Shadow. Wow. It's late. Okay, guys. Picking off of the success of Jackie, and, Sammo obviously had his own run, too, where he wanted to, like, make his own successive release of movies during that era, so he can kind of like catapult to stardom. So Yuen Biao had his own little foray into that too. So I guess Knockabout's like his way of doing that, I guess. Like try to enter stardom.
This is his first credited movie? Is that true?
I don't know if it's credited, but like it's probably one of his earlier ones where he was
in the opening title. It says introducing Yuen Biao. So
okay, then maybe.
I thought maybe this is his first movie. Maybe unofficially he's in the background somewhere. But
yeah. Maybe as a starring role, this is like one of his first ones. So why not talk about this one, right? There's it does have Yuen Biao, obviously. It's directed by Sammo Hung. I feel like Sammo and Yuen Biao, like, they paired up quite a lot, like throughout the 70s and 80s, and actually even some part of the 90s. There's a lot of comedy here, and this is, there's comedy, and then there's like comedy in quotation marks, because I watched the English dub, and that is comedy in quotation marks, because that is so bad. How much of that did you watch?
I watched it for the second round, and it's funny. It's a dub of a 70s martial arts film, so you kind of get what you would expect. Basically, a bunch of dudes sitting around sarcastically reading lines.
Yeah. Well, the problem with this dub. And we won't go into it too much, at least I don't think. But the problem with it is that the dialogue has been altered to make it palatable for Western audiences. And this is a film that takes place, late 1800s, early 1900s.
No idea.
So, huh? Well, it doesn't matter. It's that of that era, and it's in China, right? And dialogues written to have people referencing getting a burger afterwards. Or
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And they're trying to cater to Western audiences. It's like mentioning buns or baos might be confusing. So it's astonishingly bad. But other times after watching the Cantonese version, you'll notice that some of the dialogue is that bad, but it's just weirdly translated, or maybe it's translated too literally. So all in all, just watch the Chinese version. I feel like we always say that, watch the original version if you can.
I don't know, man. I might disagree with you.
Yeah?
So I did enjoy this movie, the first watch, but I could definitely feel the length. And that's probably because of pacing issues, not so much story, but definitely pacing.
Sure.
Because in the middle, it's just action. It's just fight after fight after fight after fight. And I just kept on wondering, well, is this the end now? Are we getting towards the end? I couldn't see the finish line, even though we were an hour in. I just didn't know, is there another hour? Is there another 30 minutes? Are we going to wrap up in 15 or 10? So I started to get confused, and I wasn't digging it as much with the pacing.
Okay, yeah, I can see, I can definitely see that argument for sure. It's another issue where it was another case where the quantity of fights can actually kind of hamper down the movie a little bit, and that's one thing that the Western version does right, I guess. Well, I mean, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. It's up to you guys to determine. But I think there's 2 fights that are omitted from the movie in the Western version.
I actually don't remember. You'll have to.
Yeah, but I mean, they're really short. But actually, no, one's really short, and then the other one's really long. It's just I actually find it ridiculous that they cut it out, because I think that some of the action in that is pretty good. It has a lot of our honorable mentions from previous movies, like Lam Cheng Ying, Fat Chung. That one, for example, like that, they omitted that from the Western one, so it's like, oh well. I think that's a bit of a shame. But yeah, let's talk about the story, right, Zero? Before we go further into the action, I guess I'll take a crack at it.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait. Do you want to take a crack at it? I have to think about it for a second.
Right. No, I can take a crack at it. So, Yoon Biu and his brother, played by, I always just know him now
Brian
as
Leung.
Brian Leung, Beardy.
Yeah, Beardy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Yoon Biu and his brother, Brian Leung, they are con men, and they go around kind of conning people out of money, and this is their whole shtick. They do this throughout the beginning of the movie. What ends up happening is they attempt to con the wrong man, and it comes back around to them. And what happens is they try to confront this old man, and unbeknownst to them, he's a kung fu master, and they kick his ass.
Yep.
So they come up with this brilliant plot that, we should try to study under him so that we can, I guess, I don't know,
I don't even think you need to elaborate that, because I feel like everything you just set up is very typical of other movies, right?
Right. They want to wean off of him, and then ultimately their hope is to get back once they learn martial arts and feel that they can be better than him. Yeah.
So this plot is very basic. I feel like a lot of people might just by listening to that or just watching a movie at first, it feels very rudimentary. Like you've seen a bunch of movies or heard a bunch of movies that follow that same basic premise. But I mean, without going into any further detail, halfway through the movie, it takes a sudden shift, and I was not expecting it. I actually found that to be a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, no, me too. We won't spoil it here. We will go further into it in the Patreon section. But yeah, that is a great surprise. And to maybe just flesh out a little bit, the conning of these two brothers. I think that's what I liked a lot about this movie, and that's kind of why I would recommend this movie, is because whenever I think of Yoon Biao, like, I never think of him as an actor. I think of him as a performer.
Okay. Yeah.
And that could just be a fault of my own, because I've only seen his very acrobatic films, like where he's just doing these crazy stunts or doing these incredible choreography, but I never knew like who his character was. He was just there to fight. So it was really interesting to see that he's playing a character here. He's like a Weasley con man. He's an older brother who's kind of taking advantage of his younger brother every now and then, and it's cool to see him act, I guess, right? Because I don't of all the movies I've seen of him, I don't really think of him as being a character actor. Well, it doesn't help that he is kind of, out of all the three of them, the big three little peking opera dudes, he's the one who probably got the most like support roles. Like, he didn't really star as much, which is hopefully won't come back to bite us in the ass, because we have to find 4 movies this month. So hopefully we'll find enough. No, but you're right. Like, this is a performance where I feel like he actually is like acting his ass off a little bit more. Like, he has to emote a little bit more, especially towards the latter half. Again, we'll go into that in the Patreon section. So yeah, like there's that's part of it's kind of nice. But yeah, like I just generally think like Yoon Biao has always been extremely acrobatic, and like you kind of see that in other movies that we covered before. But I think that his like mobility and flexibility is something that's like really impressive too. Like even stands out more than like Jackie or Sammo. Like that really shows in his movements as well. So like you might have gotten a snippet of that in Wheels on Meals in the very beginning when he's like training with Jackie. He puts his leg up against the wall and he like basically does like a standing split, and it's like super impressive. And he does that. He kind of does that in this movie, but then there are moments where it's like played to comedic effect, and it's like it's clearly a fake leg, or it's like someone else's leg. I don't know, man. There's a moment when he's holding that leg up, and because in wider shots you can see he's holding a leg up. When they cut the close-ups, I wasn't sure if that was a fake leg or not. I almost believed it could have been real, just because I know how flexible he is.
Yes, exactly. And like he's super acrobatic, like you said before. He does so many flips in this movie.
Oh dear God, the backhand springs, the constant jumping, the constant flips. It's too much. I think Sammo might have pushed him too much, but I mean, I guess if this is supposed to be his introductory movie, then they got to go full ham.
Yeah, I will say, just as a very minor nitpick, I don't know. Maybe it's like Sammo's direction, telling him to like do things a certain way. But Yoon Bio's choreography has been given. The choreography that's been given to him has been like trying to mimic like a powerful striker, when his forte is more in the acrobatic side, right? Like he's really good with the acrobatics, but like when it comes to the hits, I don't fully believe it a lot of the times. It feels very metronome and very like timed, and I also feel like there's no power behind them. But I think a lot of that has a lot to do with the fact that this is still late 70s. Like we still haven't like reached that peak of like hard hitting action that Hong Kong was known for in the 80s. So it still feels like that like we're getting out of the Shaw Brothers era. We're just in the very beginning of like Golden Harvest, like even really becoming its own, really pioneering the industry. So that's my little complaint. Like Yoon Bio, like he's a great he has a lot of physical like prowess, but it doesn't feel like he has a lot of impact on screen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's his fault. I think we're just in that time where the choreography didn't evolve yet, and it didn't move forward in getting out of that metronome feel, because it can be fast in certain times, but you definitely get a sense of we're still on that bop, 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 bop kind of timing, and it's very evident with certain fights, especially Brian Leung, actually. I'm surprised because we talked about a film that came 1 year after this from Sammo and Brian Leung are in The Victim. And I loved his choreography in that movie.
Yeah.
And then it's weird to go back to see this 1 year earlier, and he looks almost incapable. If I
think so?
If I saw this first, I would think that he is not really a good martial artist, but that could be because in the movie he is also portrayed as not being better than his older brother, who's Yun Bio.
Sure.
So I don't know if that's the direction they were going with.
Yeah. Well, if you remember a detail from that movie, The Victim, that's when we discovered that Brian Leung isn't actually a martial artist, like by trade. He's just really athletic and really he's just naturally gifted with the physical choreography. So he's been really good at that. I would say maybe within that year of training, transitioning from Knockabout to eventually doing The Victim, he just maybe just improved a lot.
That's true.
So that could be the case too. But I actually think that Brian Leung does an okay job here. His choreography is obviously significantly simpler. He's written to be that way, for one, and two, he's not a stunt person. He's not a martial artist. So he's given the direction of just do a lot of arm choreography, like fists. Basically, he's the story is written that he needs to pretend like there's a ball between his forearms, and he needs to move around, pantomiming that kind of gesture. So that's the way he fights.
Right. Well, the I guess the master that they learned under, I don't remember his name.
Wing.
Right. But he's
Yeah.
in English he's credited as Silver Fox, I think.
Yeah. Okay. We can just call him that if that's easier. But he's Lao Leung's younger brother.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. I was man, when I was looking at him, I was like, is that Lao Leung? Kind of looks like him, but I didn't realize that was his brother. I was so sure it was him, just in weird makeup and wig. But
Yeah. So that's obviously a cool little nod. We have Lao Leung's little brother playing the Sifu character. We're just going to refer to him as a Sifu character for at least most of the review. But yeah, in terms of the action, there's a lot of fights. I counted
too many.
I counted 12. Fights. I counted 12. I don't think we're gonna be able to talk about all of them.
I don't want to. So this is weird. I was enjoying this movie, but I think I'm just not the biggest fan of early Sammo choreography. It's there, it works, but there's something about it that just starts to drone for me a little bit, with the exception of the last fights, because the last fights are always crazy long and complicated, and I think I can appreciate it from that aspect. But a lot of stuff in the middle, I think it might be because it feels irrelevant to the story sometimes, so that's why I start to check out. And it feels like, well, we're just throwing a fight in here because we need some sort of confrontation or some sort of action beat, and it's not really doing anything to move the plot along.
Even with Drunken Master, which came out the year before, if you go back and watch that, it's basically the same kind of choreography. It's the movie's great and all, but it doesn't have the more modern style of action in terms of you need those hard hits. You need to you need to have the flashy stuff. You kind of save it for the end of the long string of choreography, or you basically want to hone in on it. This movie, I feel like the camera work and the whatever they're doing to composite these shots is good. It's just we don't have it's not emphasized to the way that we want. There's just too much happening where your brain can only register so many things to be oh, that was the hard hit. No, that you're just too many things going on. If Yunbyu's doing a bunch of back handsprings and then Sammo jumps over him with a front flip, it's okay, that's too much for my brain to register. You kind of need the thing.
Yeah, we've kind of highlighted this or spoke about this in other episodes where sometimes, and I'm not saying this needs to be a rule, but sometimes when you're not focusing on these big moves, but they're happening in these wides, and then they're continuing the action like it didn't happen. Sometimes you don't even think about it. So why would you put these great, amazing moves in there in the first place? More modern choreography might cut to a close-up, which we might not like, or sometimes they'll go to at least slow motion. Sometimes I just wanted an angle change so we can get a more visually interesting shot of this amazing move that they're going to focus on, instead of having it haphazardly going on in the fight somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, what we're describing, all our complaints right now are like 70s. The 70s era martial arts movies, and now modern martial arts, modern action movies went the complete opposite route. It's like like now we have these not even that great movements, but they're like shot in these super close-ups and a lot of editing, and so like I feel like the 80s and 90s, mostly the 80s, and then like very early 90s, just was like that golden period where it's like they just found that right balance. But this movie wasn't there yet. Like in like Sammo's signature style of choreography hasn't been fully developed. Like he's known for those super hard hits. It's like, really kick him. Like really kick him and send him flying. Like there's moments in this movie, Knockabout, where you'll see like the move, like Yun Bu will like pose, like he'll keep his arms out, before the actual hit collides with his arms. Right, so like the choreography feels like it's still kind of dancey in a way. Mm-hmm. So but anyways, there's 12 freaking fights in this movie. We're gonna be here all day, so let's not do all of them. I think we should probably talk about at least the ones that are worth mentioning. Right. We'll at least give them a passing mention if we need to. But yeah, like anything else, Zero?
No, I think we can go into it. So if you want to hear us elaborate more on the fights and the action and find out what that spoiler is, you should check us out on Patreon, Fist of Fail, because we're going to go into it.
Yep. So the cutoff point will be somewhere around here. Anyways. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. We're at the point where we give our recommendations, but there's a whole wealth of audio you would be listening to here if you follow us on Patreon. There you can listen to the entire episode, including an exclusive action breakdown of the fights in the movie. And now on to our final thoughts. We actually complained a lot throughout the not even complained. We kind of cut through a lot of the acrobatics. There's a fucking ton of fights in this movie.
There's way too much. If you listen to us on Patreon, we couldn't cover all of it because there's too much fighting. There's 12 fight scenes. They all start to blend in together, and then the last fight scene, it's like 15 minutes long, and it's got almost 3 parts if you want to count Yunbyo as the main part of the fight scene.
Yeah. So, but with all that said, this was an entertaining watch. There are problems with this movie, and I think it's more so like the product of its time issue. It's not boring. I think that like it just has pacing issues. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I think I mentioned in the beginning that's what kind of killed it for me. Like the pacing got a little weird because in the middle, it's just bloated with fights, and I didn't really know where the movie was going. And then at the end, the fights just don't end.
Yeah, I mean, the problem's not only the end. Like there are so many back-to-back fights in this movie, to a point like it feels like you can even call them like it feels like we've been watching a fight scene that's been going on for 20 minutes. And this will happen sporadically throughout the movie. It's like, all right, this fight was over. Now we move on to another fight almost immediately. Anyways, quantity-wise, there's a lot of fights in the movie. Quality-wise, it's not bad either. It's just it's not what we prefer. I think it still hasn't reached like that golden peak of like what Yunbyu and Sammo have kind of gotten to in the 80s. So, but I still think that the movie's like very very interesting to watch. At least like you should go check it out because like it is supposedly Yunbyu's intro movie or debut movie and starring role. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that he does a pretty good job from both a character standpoint and a performance standpoint for sure. Like he's really damn fucking acrobatic, and his physicality is awesome. The choreography is a little bit hit or miss for me, but for the most part, I think like if anyone's interested, go check it out. This is a soft recommend for me. So I don't know. I said a lot. Zero.
Yeah, this one's weird. Like I liked the movie in pieces. On the second rewatch, it was me passively paying attention as I was doing something else. Like this felt nice to rewatch, but I could do something else. So like I could have this in the background and watch it. It's like one of those movies because when you're first watching it, you're just trying to get a sense of like, okay, I'm trying to understand who these characters are, and then you get little twists and turns, and those are pleasant. And then you're feeling the pacing, you're getting a sense of where the fights are. And then the second time, I was like, okay, I get everything. I will pay attention when I want to selectively. So I guess it's like a nice background movie. But I mentioned earlier Yoon Bio. I never really know him for his acting. I know him more for his performance. So it's great to see him actually playing a character that I liked. I thought his performance with Brian Leung, I liked their chemistry a lot, and that would be why I recommend the movie for those two. I actually didn't really like the fights so much, but it's because I don't really like fights from this era. I will say the jump rope fight, it's so stupid that you kind of have to just see it to believe it. We elaborated on it a lot in the Patreon, so if you're just listening to the normal version and you hear jump rope fight and you're like, jump rope fight? Yeah, you need to watch this because there's a jump rope fight.